Hi, I'm Hans Rey. Stay tuned for when my friends Brian Lopes, April Lawyer and I get to the bottom of Mexico. With a team of filmmakers, photographers and donkeys. Plus the bike riding ain't bad either. Explore the mysteries, people, places of Copper Canyon next as we get ready for airtime.
Hi, my name is Hans Rey. I live in Laguna Beach, California, but I'm Swiss nationality and I'm a former trials biking world champion. I'm in the Mountain Bike Hall of Fame and I'm one of the pioneers of extreme biking and free riding. In recent years I've been pursuing my adventure team trips where I go all over the world to remote places, and usually we ride trails and do first ascents where nobody has been before, obviously, and we're always in search of something mysterious or historical and tie it all together. And this time we're in Mexico, we're in Copper Canyon. I brought April Lawyer with me and Brian Lopes, and we're just about ready to set out. Canyon is an amazing place, you know. It's actually, they say it's 4 times bigger than the Grand Canyon, and it's actually also deeper. This area was also known as a mining area. Back about 100 years ago, they had some of the biggest silver and gold mines in the world here. Had these mining trails where they used to bring the silver and gold out of the canyon into the bigger cities, and some of these trails we're trying to find again. Some of those trails had long been lost or forgotten, and there's apparently a trail I heard about that brings us down from Samarikit down to Batopilas. Batopilas is a town in the bottom of the canyon. The goal is to find some of these old silver trails and to rewrite them and trace them back, and along the way interact a little bit with the local people, with the Indians and the miners, and get to see the beauty of this place here.
Hi baby, we are on the train. The adventure has started. Our Copper Canyon adventure has started. We're sitting here in the train from Chihuahua to Creel. It's gonna be a 6-hour train ride. I got my buddy Brian Lopes here and April is back here. April, say hi.
Hi.
The first few hours on the train pass relatively quickly for us. Being thrust into the culture, experiencing the people up close, only riding El Chepe would give us this first glimpse of real Mexico. After the train ride today, we're gonna meet Arturo. Arturo is a local guy who's gonna come with us and he's gonna show us the trail. He kind of thinks, nobody has ridden that trail, but he kind of thinks he knows where it is, and he's gonna be our support crew on this trip.
This is El Chepe, Chihuahua Pacifico Railroad. This train goes all the way from Chihuahua actually to the Gulf, and it's one of the most classic scenic train rides in the world.
I'm hoping they spend all their money upkeeping this train. Doesn't sound like it, does it?
I'm a little nervous because, I mean, the trail that we're going on, obviously, like no one's ever really ridden it before, so I'm a little scared being the only girl on the trip. I have to make sure I can keep up with these guys, but I'm excited. I think it'll be really fun.
actually have a team here of 8 people. We have Arturo, a local guide we're hooking up with. He has a little local knowledge and he helps us with the logistics of especially helping out the camera teams, you know. Then we have the camera team with 2 people. We have a photographer and his assistant. And then we have Brian and April and myself as the riders. Get some food.
Good idea.
So hungry.
My name is Arturo Gutierrez. I'm from Chihuahua, and I'm a mountain bike guide in Copper Canyon. I run a small business based in Creel, which is gateway to Copper Canyon.
Hey, my name is Brian Lopes. I'm here in Copper Canyon, Mexico with April and Hans. Serious adventure. I don't know, you never know what you're getting into with Hans. You know, it's gonna be a rough few nights coming up. Hans just likes to experience everything. He really likes to experience the culture and get the most out of what, you know, this adventure is all about. You know, really try to experience how these people live. We arrived, met the camera crew, you guys, met Arturo, the helper, local guy that's gonna help us along the trip. We got there and I think we were all starving, so the first thing we did was hit a little burrito shop. From there we just went and cruised around. Me, April, and Hans took a little street ride through town, jumped some curves, found a little wall ride. Found a mechanical bull to jump on and check out.
Lopes decided to give it a try, and then Hans, and then myself.
Finding the mechanical bull was interesting. It started out kind of slow. Then the speed moved up a notch, or 2, or maybe say 5. It didn't take long till we were suffering from a different sort of saddle sore. We wrapped the sightseeing, making our way to our first night accommodations and our last real night's sleep in a bed.
We decided to go for a little warm-up ride because we know what we have ahead of us, and so we wanted to just kind of get the bugs worked out of our bikes and the equipment and whatnot. It was really exciting to check it out.
You know, it's definitely a very unique culture around here because there's a mixture of things, mixture of people. You have the native Tarahumara, you have the Mexican people, and you have, Mexico is already changing big time. There's a lot of changes in Mexico because Mexican people that are very progressive and very westernized, and there's also Mexican people who are folk people from the country. So, you know, we get to see pretty unique culture and mixed up in this whole area. So.
Man, it was just something like I've never seen before, never really experienced. It just seemed like chaos. It didn't really seem like there was any leadership there, really. It seemed like there was all these different groups kind of running around, banging their drums, and you know, just doing their thing. I was really lost, to tell you the truth. I had no clue what they were doing or what it was really all about, but it was definitely something interesting.
You know, we experienced the Tarahumara fiestas today. Big fiestas, probably the largest fiesta in the whole year. And Easter for the Tarahumaras is their largest celebration. Basically breaks out the beginning and the end of the cycle, you know, especially because they're based on harvest and crops. So Easter becomes the most important celebration. Jesuit missionaries were kicked out of Mexico by the King of Spain for 100 years. So they had 100 years to reinterpret this whole mixture of beliefs, or you know, of Christian beliefs and Christian celebrations.
All interpretation, you know, the Jesuit Christ came here like 300-400 years ago, and they interpret the whole stories their own way, and they kept some of these rituals, like this one here tonight, the Semana Santa, but they have a totally different view and interpretation of it. It's quite interesting.
After all we got to experience, I wanted them to experience something too. The next day I stepped up in an impromptu show of trials riding. The kids seemed to enjoy it, and even the adults gathered around. I'm always amazed how a little demo breaks down cultural walls and makes us feel a part of our surroundings. Alright, the Tarahumara Semana Santa celebrations are almost over, and for us it's time to start our adventure. Camera roll, standby. Sound, sound, sound.
Well, after we left Creole, we actually were driven to a camp to start our adventure. It ended up being a pretty fun morning.
Chique right now, and from here we're gonna head towards Batopilas. And got some donkeys ready over there. They're helping our camera team to follow us with their equipment, and we just have to wrap it up here, eat some oatmeal, and get on the way.
The camping experience was really good. You know, we figured out that you don't necessarily need a tent to sleep out in the bush. You know, sometimes it's even better. So it's always finding that line, where you're going to sleep.
Now here we're camping out. We got our camp set up.
Brian, I think he can do a lot more. You know, he was an expert camper after a couple of days. He was already sleeping outside and saying, "Oh, I like camping. I like camping in a tent."
Awesome. Some people did sleep outside, but I opted straight away for a tent. The saddle of one of the mules covered in ants, and I was like, I'm sleeping in the tent tonight. No questions there.
And we found our spot for camping on the side of the river, a nice valley there just outside of Samachique, which was our starting point for the big trip.
What kind of terrain are we in for?
Oh, we're in for mountains right now. We're gonna go and climb up in the pine forest, upper elevation around 7,000 feet. We have a pretty long climb, a couple thousand feet up, and then we go through the pass. Hopefully we'll camp at the rim of the canyon tonight with some good views.
It's gonna take quite a while, because it's really technical.
Yeah. So yeah, we're looking at a good day, 7 hours. If everything goes fine, maybe a little longer.
We had to head up this valley and had a probably 1 hour climb to make it over the first little pass. Our way through rolling hills. We had several climbs and came by some Tarahumara settlements, started to hit some single trail sections.
We left the fire road and hit the single trail here. It's pretty steep and loose rock.
So I guess this is it according to the map. We're about the highest point of the trip. We still got a lot more climbing to go, but we've been climbing about an hour now. We're at about 2,400 meters. And yeah, more to come, but this is the highest point.
Oh, the highest point?
Yep.
Cool.
That's a workout already.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah. It's gotten a lot warmer since this morning, huh?
At least we beat the mules.
This pile rocks here marks, for the Tarahumaras, marks the highest point on the trail. And you throw a rock for good luck, and also so you don't get lost.
And why are all these sticks there among the donkeys? Throw a stick?
No, the sticks are to cure yourself for arthritis. So you grab a stick and you cross your joints. And then throw it.
My shoulder's been hurting. I'm gonna put the shoes.
So you need to throw a rock and do a stick.
Yeah.
Sounds like it. I hope this one works.
My name's April Lawyer, and I'm here on this trip with Hans and Brian. Hans called me up a couple of months ago and asked me if I would be interested in going on one of his adventures, and obviously I've seen photos and video of some of his past adventures, and at first I thought, are you crazy? Are you sure you want me to go? But nevertheless, I'm really excited to be here, and I'm really, really honored that he asked me to come.
Lost its home. It definitely was taking a lot longer than what we expected. We didn't really anticipate, with all the amount of people we had with us, that it was going to take nearly as long as it did, especially with stopping and shooting and that sort of thing. So we needed to make up a little bit of time, and it was a little slower going than we'd hoped.
We started our expedition in Samachique in search of the Chinivo Trail, which basically goes from Creel to Batopilas. And this trail has never been ridden on bikes before, and our mission was to find that old trail and to be the first to ride it on bikes. Probably spent, I think, about 8 hours on the bike that first day. Getting the mules through all these sections sometimes was really gnarly, you know, it was so technical. I'm good. Like, I was like wondering, how can a mule packed with gear get through there? Eventually we needed to find a suitable place where actually the mules could get some grass and find some water. So we found a nice camp spot, and we set up camp right around 5 o'clock, like right before dark.
The camping was really cool. We all set up our own little spots. It was pretty neat. It was actually really fun. I think in all it was, you know, a new experience for a lot of us.
And at that particular spot we couldn't even pitch tents because it wasn't really big enough flat spaces to build up a tent, so we all just like camped out in the woods, spread apart.
I was just happy there wasn't any bugs or that many mosquitoes or anything like that.
Oh, I see some bugs crawling on my already.
The official expedition had only people who go on a Hans Rey adventure trip and participate or have a major role get one of these. Mexico! Tomorrow we're really gonna hit it, and it's gonna be some good riding, technical stuff, I think.
Chilly. I'm pretty much a pro camper now.
You have the, this one's not on. Oh yeah.
We're getting an early start today.
Everybody got really smoked in right now.
No tents to pack up.
Just another day in the office.
We're already on
on the trail. We're starting off on a good trail today.
We're on the trail.
I slept on the trail.
Arturo slept on
I'm
the
one
trail
with the
last
trail
night.
today.
Today it's going to be all technical. Luckily, mainly downhill. But apparently it gets more difficult, which is nice. We immediately started going on this really cool downhill trail down this, basically this river, river gorge.
On day 2, we started early on after breakfast. We continued along this creek bed and then went over a pass down into this neat village in this valley, in this open valley.
This is pretty cool. This is cool. That's a little ranch. Somebody's living here.
At one point we came upon a small village. Some local kids must have saw us coming down the trail, and they kind of ran up and they started running after us as we were going down the hill to their village.
Did you see the trailhead anywhere?
About halfway through the day, our mule drivers decided to just take off. They got impatient.
There's been some new roads carved in, and it's kind of a bit confusing to find the place.
Gracias, amigo. Now we don't get lost because of him. Antonio. Eventually we actually met this Indian this Tarahumara Indian, a few years ago. They got invited, some of those Indians, to go and run the Leadville 100, which is one of the most notorious off-road running races in the world. I read about this. They flew these Tarahumara Indians in and they kicked everybody's butt.
Yes, they did.
And he's one of them. Respect, my man.
Saluda.
Respect, salute. Complimento. It's a 100-mile race, and the Tarahumara are considered some of the best runners in the world. So they got invited there, and this guy actually finished the race in, I believe 24 hours, and he got 3rd place. And he said they invited 7 guys from his tribe, and they all made the top 10, which was pretty amazing, running in sandals. You've never seen a tough guy?
Sí, ahí está, aquí abajo. On day 2, Antonio Palma guided us over the pass and down into this gnarly trail into this beautiful creek bed in this enclosed canyon where we had lunch, and that was one of the most beautiful spots that we've seen on the trip.
Lunchtime! Siesta! That day after lunchtime we had a really cool stop near this little blue lagoon, looked like a glacier lake, really beautiful little spot where we freshened up, had some lunch. Arturo served us tuna every single day. Came out of our ears at the end of the trip. Yeah, the trail's getting tough now. Very exposed, very dangerous. We are tired now. We're losing concentration and we're losing daytime light. So hopefully we'll make it to the next camp before it gets dark. At that point, for me, the adventure really started. I kind of got a kick out of all of that because we really didn't know how far the mule drivers went that day, and we tried to desperately keep up with them.
Yeah, well, this section was difficult because we were in such a beautiful spot that we were tied up, and our support team went ahead. We had to rush. The day was coming to an end, and we had to make a move to find to catch up with our support team and not being left alone in the dark.
Incredible trail alongside the cliffs, you know, like with huge drops, like deadly drops, you know, but it's spectacular views. Oh la la! Lopes!
Again, it started off good trail, like pretty flowy, windy, technical. After a little while, it started getting pretty rough. You know, really loose, really exposed cliffs, short little technical climbs that, you know, a lot of them we couldn't make up. Had to stop and hike up. So it definitely got bigger canyons, and you had to be a lot more careful because some of these cliffs, I mean, if you just, you know, screwed up a little bit, you were going off the edge, and there was, I don't think there was much chance for survival. You know, it was taking a lot longer than we thought. We were getting behind schedule. The mules had went up ahead, and we really didn't know where they were. So we kind of just kept going and going. We got to one village. We asked those guys, we asked some locals there if they had seen the mules, and they said, yeah, we saw them like an hour ago. And so we had to keep charging it. We knew the daylight was getting shorter and shorter, so we had to just kind of scratch taking photos and doing a lot of filming and make sure we got to the mules, because that's where our sleeping bags and our food and everything was. So.
The second day was definitely an epic. You know, it was a total of 11 hours on the bike. It was tough going. We ended up running out of daylight. We had to like race to the camp. We couldn't even shoot all the cool photo ops we had along the way. Our mule drivers had gone way ahead. We expected them to stop way earlier than they actually did. So people were kind of getting a little worried. We didn't have our headlamps with us because we didn't expect to be separated by the mules.
You know, with the cyclists doing at one pace, and you have a film crew, and then we had our support crew, which was, so it's basically 3 or 4 different teams that had to be managed. So it was a full hands, yes. Full hands adventure.
We're losing light, it's 4:55, and we're pretty far away from camp, and it's a pretty tough journey, so we're just struggling right now, hoping that we can make it to camp, or at least some sort of shelter. We got some wind coming in, and I just hope we can make it.
When the going gets tough, the tough get going, huh?
Yeah!
Everybody's tanked at the limit. Film crew, photographers, Arturo, and the riders. The only ones still going are the donkeys. Just spotted camp. The mules are right down there. Just in the nick of time. It's gonna be dark. 20 minutes. The problem was we needed to find a place where we had water for the mules and donkeys. So we're gonna stay here tonight. The trail is starting to get good.
We'll be right back with more action from the Copper Canyon.
Good morning. I'm ready to go, and I'm feeling fresh again. If I could just go my own pace and I don't have to wait for Hans the whole time.
Just hope I don't have to wait for Lopes all day again. That's all I can say. It's such a good pace going. And everybody has to wait for him all the time. But he has to shave his legs and has to mix his little cider mags. Then he has to clean his shoes, tighten his spokes, scratch his. Today is day 3 on the track. It's a beautiful day again. It's been hard so far. The trail was really demanding. The stuff is really technical. A lot of times you have to push your bike or carry it. Even the downhills are so demanding, it's really trialsy. The photographers had a hard time. They have infected knees, and this morning they found these giant ticks filled with blood in their tents, and they're freaking out. We stepped accidentally on it. It's filled with blood. I hope it's not mine. Off we go.
soon we hit the trail on that last day, we knew we had to cover a lot of ground. You know, everybody was antsy to get to Batopilas. You know, I mean, we knew it would be another hard and long day.
Downhills were incredible. I mean, I wish I had my downhill bike, but just beautiful landscapes. At one point I looked down and I saw a couple of buildings and I said, oh, we're coming up to another village. All of a sudden we saw these two little kids just sitting there. They had obviously looked up on the mountain and saw us coming, so they wanted to come greet us.
¿Qué andaban haciendo?
Ask them if they've ever seen a bike come down this.
No, that's where they walked up. They just walked up to see us coming down. They've seen bicycle before, but, you know, never through here.
I would have known if somebody had ridden this before.
That we were the only badasses in Mexico.
Hey, I could say I was the only girl down the trail.
Por allá abajo. No. The trip is over. Let's go. It's over.
After a killer downhill, 2 hours, technical, beautiful single trail, we ended up in this town called Munerachi, where we got greeted by these local kids who came running towards us, and then they followed us into town.
Yeah, we're in Munerachi now. We're near the bottom of the canyon. Now it's going to be fairly flat from here on out. Still slightly downhill to Batopilas, but our first goal will be to hit Cerro Colorado, the old mining town.
Yeah.
And that's still probably going to take us most of the day to get there. So we see if we get some refreshments here.
It was a really cool little town. There was only maybe about 15 houses or so, and it just felt like kind of a ghost town. And there was a little store, and the guy sold us soda pops and some cookies.
Oh, look at this room.
Coca y ese.
Got to check out their school and into their church. Had a couple beverages with them and stuff, and that was really cool. They were actually the friendliest of all the kids.
We tried to get the kids to show us their ball game. They have this game where they kick this ball ahead of them while they run on all these rugged trails.
They scoop it up and kick it forward, and they do it on trails just like the ones we rode our bike on. It's unbelievable.
It was beautiful because they ran behind us and they were really excited. It's probably the most exciting thing that's happened in a long time, and I don't think they ever seen mountain bikers come that way, and it just made it really special. And it was really neat to hang out in the village for a few minutes with those people.
Finally pursued one of the kids to try to ride a bike, and he did, and he was quite stoked actually, I think, that he did.
Those kids, they were just incredible. I mean, they were just so excited to see us.
And the kids were running behind us the whole time. It was kind of neat, you know. They are so tough, it's unbelievable. We were going quite a good pace at that point too.
They ended up chasing us for a little bit as we left town, and it was really funny. I look back and they're behind us, and you know, go another 20 minutes and they're still with us, and they ended up staying with us all the way till we went to San Colorado. They followed us the whole way, which was incredible.
After we left Munerachi, we continued on our trip down at the bottom of the canyon.
We had a nice little lunch break along the river, and it was a good place, good opportunity to take a little swim and a little bath. Oh, that feels good. I needed a bath.
All the kids from the Munerachi village that we met earlier on, they just followed us.
We stopped, I don't know, a couple hours later for lunch along the river, and they sat across the river on the other side and just watched us, hung out. We had tuna and crackers again. And I was kind of getting a little frustrated then, so once I was done eating, I packed up and I just started riding on the trail, and I got about 20 minutes of decent riding in.
Brian, of course, is a really excellent all-round rider, you know. I mean, he's so well suited, you know, it doesn't matter if high speed or trialsy stuff. He's a very fit endurance guy, you know. With him, I was more worried that sometimes he gets impatient, you know, if he cannot go his own pace. He got a little antsy, then at one point he took off and just went ahead to, you know, we didn't see him for a couple hours. He just went to the next town by himself. It was cool. It was a pretty clear trail. There was not a big chance of him getting lost.
Aqueduct for the mining. And this is the way they power the mills for their mining operation.
When I rolled into San Colorado, it was sort of a, you know, bittersweet, you know, feeling. I mean, we just come from these villages where, you know, they're so non-westernized whatsoever, and then we come into San Colorado, which is still out in the middle of nowhere, but it's a little more westernized, and you know, little stores where we could actually buy some chips and soda and things like that.
Yo creo que ahí adelantito y donde están esos señores ahí más adelante.
Ah, sí, aquí. Gracias. Okay. There's a restaurant down there.
I knew we were getting close to our final destination because we rolled in and I saw cars.
And the climate had changed dramatically from just like a day before when we were up higher in the mountains. I was wearing my fleece and was freezing cold, and now we were like in t-shirts and shorts, and it was like we were baking.
We're in Cerro Colorado now, and we should go and check out this mine here. This is an old mining settlement.
We ended up having a little bit of a tour because San Colorado is an old mining town. Ended up breaking up the sediments of the dirt and the ore, and they bring out the gold.
One guy here is still doing mining the same way, like 200 years ago. He brings the ore from up high by donkey, brings, you know, 3,000 or 4,000 pounds of dirt with the gold in it, and then he grinds it with this mechanical water force wheel, and the water force makes it this wheel to spin, and then grinds all the ore, and then this separates the gold, you know, by sediment. The heavier materials they go to the bottom, and then he collects the gold from that.
He still does that?
Yes, he still.
How much
does.
gold does he get out of it?
¿Cuánto sacas de oro aquí?
Carga un medio gramo, 20 centavos.
¿Por cuánto es la carga? For about 100 kilos, he gets a half a gram.
De 100 kilos, medio gramo.
From 100 kilograms, so what's that, 200 pounds or so?
Does he have any gold over there he can show us?
Well, one of the local older guys there, he brought us down to where they mine the gold and kind of showed us how it all worked. It looked pretty archaic to me.
$10 a gram of gold.
So you have to haul 400 pounds of dirt down here to make $10.
4,000.
A lot of work for a little bit of gold.
Get it out.
Yeah, there's a lady here that cooks some food, some lovely meals for us, for sure.
You made some good dinners the last few nights, but I think she's showing you up on this one.
There was a bit of touch of civilization. That was the first place that we could say we're getting back to the place where we live, kind of thing. So that was neat.
We We actually got treated to a really nice dinner by a local lady there. She cooked us some soup and rice, and it was nice to have a good home-cooked meal after, you know, our camping meals, and that gave us fuel to get ourselves back to Batopilas because we still had a little bit more of an adventure in us before we got there.
Stretch begins. Only a short 9-kilometer hop and we are ready to get off the road and continue on the legendary Camino Real. The trails are well worn with use, but beautiful. Riding the last few kilometers, we couldn't help but think of the generations who have endured hardship traversing these routes.
We just arrived in Batopilas. Now we just have to find our hotel. We made it!
So we finally made it. We were gonna get to sleep in a hotel, finally take a nice hot shower.
We ended our big trip here in Batopilas. It's very exciting to make it to town. Batopilas is always a warm place to get here after long days out in the bush.
Arturo kept telling us, oh, we're getting to this village, and now we're coming to this village, and all these little places were definitely a lot smaller and further out in the middle of nowhere than I expected. The whole time I knew our final destination was Batopilas, but I didn't know what it was going to be, how big it was going to be, what there was going to be here.
Came into Batopilas, in the late afternoon. It was still daylight and it was awesome, and we were really happy to finally get here, and everybody was really stoked to be able to sleep in a nice bed again and take a shower and drink a beer, and it was cool, and it was really, I think we were really happy to have ridden that trail and to be the first to actually have done it on a mountain bike. Overall, I mean, it's an amazing place. I had heard so much about Copper Canyon, and I was really glad we found this Genevo route, which was a route that has never been attempted on bikes, and we found it and we rode it all the way to Batopilas.
This trail, this is awesome.
And it was a challenging route. It was definitely built for mules and donkeys and not for mountain bikes. So that made it so much sweeter to actually do it, and it worked all out great. It was a really good challenge. It was a great route, and it's an incredible place to come out to. I mean, it's like an oasis here. You're at the bottom of this canyon, far away from civilization. It's an unforgettable experience.
Yeah, my experience on this trip riding with Hans and April was definitely a memorable one. Hans once again impressed me with some real technical sections that he made it through. April impressed me, her determination to keep going and to ride some stuff that I didn't think she would be able to pull off.
Riding with the pros is it's a good feeling, it makes you believe that that they are actually human and they're just real people, just like anybody else. It's definitely probably one of the most hardest 50 kilometers on trail in the backcountry that you can find, and it makes it a really exciting trip.
It was nice because, you know, we were back in civilization a little bit, but at the same time it was a little bit like, oh, you know, I really enjoyed the natives.
Hola.
It was really, really surreal just being there and seeing how they live their lives. These people, I mean, they live in a way that was completely foreign to us. I mean, they live with no electricity and no running water. They're so happy and they live such a simple life. It was, like I said, really surreal just to be a part of it. I feel very fortunate that they let us be there, and that was really exciting.
The challenge for all of us is to leave a light footprint. The culture and the people are a fragile blend of the old ways with the ever-encroaching Western lifestyle. The Copper Canyon is a bike rider's paradise and helps support the region with clean, sustainable tourism. This journey pushed us to the edge as athletes and made our view of the world much more complete. My thanks go out to my fellow bike riders, our Tarahumara guides who kept us on the right path, and our largely unsung crew as they walked up to 20 kilometers a day packing equipment, solving problems with unique remedies.
So this is how we do it in Mexico.
We all survived the trials of Copper Canyon. The belief that positive benefits come from hard work is often its own reward. I'm sure all of us will have special memories of this place, the people, and the extraordinary adventure. Until next time, I'm Hans Rey.